It's always been a very tough question for teenagers who are getting out of high school, deciding whether to go to college or not. Now there's economics explaining if it's worth going to college. Probably doesn't apply to everyone's lifetime achievement, but with the right charts, they can help you see more clearly how it's going to work for you. So to make judgment on something, we always have to make very general assumptions that probably don't apply to your reality much. Only by simplifying all the parameters can we have a more explicit look of the usual results we are looking for, which means that the more complicated we make our cases seem, the more confused we're only going to get. So we'll just ignore all the complicated factors that go along with it and just focus on average statistics. Now, I have to clarify that your extra earnings are not the only thing that defines the value of your education. Education doesn't only help you make more money, but it also broadens your views. It makes you able to see what other people don't see, which is eventually enriching your life. That's what I always think of getting further education. It's not a matter of becoming more productive only, but with more background knowledge of each disciplinary field. You're getting different inspiration from information you're given, like suppose you're reading novels, newspapers, scientific magazines. You see, you come up with very different opinions. You have to, if you have extra capabilities to comprehend those principles. So that's how education makes a person different. And I think that's what makes education infinitely valuable. And that's something you can never replace with money. But today we are only focusing on your earnings, the economic effects of higher education on a person's lifetime earnings. So if you went to business school, you probably all heard something from those management courses called the learning curve. It's brought up a lot in production management, sometimes used on operation research too, and industrial engineering. Here's how we understand the learning curve. And that's how you can explain why so many professional jobs offer lower starting incomes, but they still are very popular among applicants because they're looking at the future value, not the present. So to have a basic understanding of it, we need a general example, which we were not going to be talking about a random extra who might become a superstar one day, just average, like the very median case that would make more sense, that would be more similar to the results half or two-thirds of you will end up with. So here's the learning curve with the horizontal axis being your age and the vertical being your annual income. So according to the median stat, if you get out of high school and start working, that's how much we will be getting from the beginning. Let's not get averages mistaken for medians. When you get the average starting income for people with college degrees, this includes 10% of the very top students that are making twice or more than average graduates. Some of them are international students. That's very common in the human resource market in America. We have professionals from all over the world that are working for our top laboratories, and they mostly work in big cities. So if we have to look at individuals, we need to look at the very median case. I mean, if you get perfect scores, you don't even have to think twice about going. But we're talking about average students that are getting out of high school and wondering if college is going to help them lead to more successful careers. And that's basically how you need to think realistically. Because the average stats don't mean anything if doctors and scientists are taken into account. We need to focus on what you're going to make with or without college degree. So stories like Elon Musk don't matter to you. So median stats over here are more useful parameters for looking at your potential lifetime earnings in cases where you have a college degree and in cases where you don't. So if we have to see if college education is making you money, we need to look at cases with equivalent academic performance instead of comparing the prep kids to kids who have hard times passing middle school algebra. So that's why we use median stats, not average. Actually, it's already very unfair because we know most kids most kids who go to college are kids who get better grades at high school, and most who don't usually get lower grades. But we have to compare cases with equivalent performance where one decides to spend 4 years in college and one decides to start working right out of high school. How they're going to turn up 40 years in the future? How they're going to make a difference? So here's the median stats I got. An average high school graduate would get a starting salary of around $39,000 a year, while an average college graduate gets $47,000. That's only average. You know, if we include those going to community colleges, you'll probably get even lower results. So apparently, $8,000 is how much more you're gonna make annually. If you're a very average student in high school, and the learning curve we're gonna be talking about is making this sound even more interesting. Your bonus earnings coming from that piece of paper is gonna become less and less, and will not make a difference at the year you retire. Most of you with college degrees make just about the same as those who graduated from high school at the year you retire. Isn't it just interesting thinking about the distant future like that? It's no lie. In fact, that's what your college degrees do, making starting off slightly easier. You may be able to demand higher salaries in the first couple of years because you have professional skills they can replace with high school graduates, but when you're in the 30s, in the 40s, you'll realize those the same age you are with high school degrees are slowly catching up and becoming just as productive as you. I mean, unless you went to Yale or Harvard or something, schools that require SAT scores of over 1400. If you didn't go to prestigious schools like that, then pretty much your so-called college professional skills will be overwhelmed very soon, sooner than you can imagine. Can you imagine being a truck driver or construction worker, how much more you'll be making in 20 years than random college graduates who are still being assistants at local companies, doing very menial jobs? No disrespect, every worker deserves to be honored. I'm only talking about the replaceability your jobs are. That's how you have to be very realistic. Actually, as college graduates, most of your extra earnings only happen in the first couple of years. So we'll have to see how much those extra earnings you get from the first couple of years are gonna be. So as we can see, the 20th year is pretty much the point at which people with and without college degrees get even. So the first 20 years is basically your time span of harvest. As we discussed earlier, $8,000 is your extra starting salary with a college degree. And then it's gradually reduced as time goes by until it hits zero. So we can see now on this chart, this pink area is your lifetime extra earning, as opposed to people with high school degrees. It's like a curve, you know. At first you make $8,000 more, and then the next year you probably get $76,000 more, and then $72,000, $68,000, and so on until the number becomes zero. So another assumption to make, the rate at which your extra earnings drop remain a constant. Then we can get the area by adding the base and top value together and multiply it by the height. So the number we get is $8,000 multiplied by 20 years divided by 2, and that's $80,000. But let's not forget, you spend 4 years You spend 4 more years in college while your high school friends who didn't go to college spend the same time probably making $200,000. So is college really worth it? It really depends. Apparently, according to statistics, a college degree doesn't make you more money, but it gives you more options. You get to do jobs you love. People without college degrees may never have the opportunities to enter. So it really depends on how you look at it. If you have no college degree, certainly you're not going to get involved in jobs that involve calculus, trigonometry, or college physics. If that's exactly what you love doing, then college is the place you must go, no matter what.